Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting Wei In and myself. We are both psychologists in Department of Psychology Psychology and SGH, and we're going to talk about mental wellness at different stages of Parkinson's disease. First, logistics. Have a read of this. Basically, what it means is that what we have over here, what we present to you, is only for you and not for redistribution to other people. So, what we're going to talk about today is go briefly into the Parkinson's disease. Description of Parkinson's disease, and spend more time on the mental wellness of Parkinson's disease across stages and the coping strategies. So basically, we'll be spending most of our time looking at the emotional behavioral aspects of Parkinson's disease. So the main parts of Parkinson's disease, I believe, has been presented already earlier by Dr. Prakash, and it's basically the physical symptoms. So these things that you see will include things like tremors, changes in your writing, your speech also gets a little bit affected in the way you pronounce, movements are a bit slowed, your muscles can get tight, and you find your balance also may be affected. And these occur slowly, progressively across time, across the stages. So what are the stages? Now, these are stages developed by Dr. Hans and Yar, and it's a way of looking at and staging Parkinson's disease. So the mild stage, okay, stages 1 and 2. The symptoms of the physical symptoms of Parkinson's disease is rather mild. You can start off first movements or tremors only to the one side of the body, and then before it goes on to bilateral. Tremors are usually to one hand, light rigidity, a bit of clumsy leg. And slowly with time, you also start seeing things like loss of facial expression on both sides of the face, and speech difficulties start to come in, especially things like speaking, okay, the motor movement of speaking. At the moderate stage, number 3, the symptoms are becomes a bit more pronounced. You see loss of balance, movements that get slow. You're making movements fast, especially changing directions can be a bit affected, especially with involuntary movements. Okay. At the more severe stages, okay, this is as you go down as the disease progresses, the symptoms get more severe and they can get more disabling. So it starts affecting your daily functioning. Things like walking, eating, movements, managing yourself in the toilet and bathing, these start to get affected. And you find caregivers will have to take more and more help. You need more help from caregivers in doing some of these things. But at the same time, you can also have some emotional and behavioral aspects. For example, hallucinations, delusions that start to occur towards the 5th stage, okay, the advanced stages of Parkinson's disease. Okay, hallucinations, for example, seeing things that are not there or hearing things that are not there, having beliefs that other people are trying to do you harm. Okay, so these are the features that we see, mainly physical features across the stages. Okay. So we know that Parkinson's disease is a complex disease, affects many aspects of your life, mainly the physical features that you see. But you can also have aspects that are being affected in the emotional dimension. Okay, and these can develop from the onset of diagnosis, and it may, I'm not saying it will, but it may get worse across time as the disease progresses. Same thing with cognition. Not all Parkinson's disease patients will have difficulties in memory, thinking, and planning. Okay, some people go all the way down to the end stage without seeing anything. Others may develop it with time. Okay, so this will change across time. At this point in time, I want to hand over to my colleague Wei In, who will go more into the mental wellness aspects, the emotional and behavioral aspects of Parkinson's disease.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chris, for explaining and introducing the different stages of Parkinson's to you all. So now I would like to zoom in a little bit on the emotional aspects of Parkinson's disease. So at the beginning, right, actually receiving the diagnosis of Parkinson's can be an emotional experience for some patient as well as the caregiver or the loved one. Some people, they may feel shocked or even confused, oh, why do I get the Parkinson's disease? What are the common symptoms of Parkinson's disease? Why there are so diverse differences in the symptoms, and why the symptoms may change across stages. These all build up the confusion. Some may even feel angry and like, why am I the person who got it? Did I eat something wrongly, or did I do something wrongly that caused that? Some may feel very anxious, like thinking about the symptoms may change across stages. Like, how would it turn out in like next 10 years or 20 years? But for some people, they may even feel relief because they will feel that, finally I get an answer or explanation that, these symptoms that I have been experiencing is actually due to Parkinson's disease. Talking about different symptoms, actually different people may feel differently about having different symptoms. Some might feel more strongly about having problems walking stably, but others might feel more strongly about having difficulty speaking. So this is all the emotional symptoms that it may experience when you living with Parkinson, and this is not easy. So research has shows that actually 2/3 of the patients living with Parkinson's at any stages of their disease, during the course of their disease, they may experience some of these symptoms like anxiety, depressions, or apathy, or even sleep difficulties. So for apathy, it's quite a common thing. Like, you find that a patient getting more and more they may have diminished interest in doing things, or diminished motivation to start doing something new, etc. So however, this, like what Chris mentioned, with more encouragement, with more motivation, it can work with that. Of course, some of y'all may feel like irritated, because of the changes in skills and function. And yes, it is tough to adjust accordingly. It takes time to adjust according to the changes, and across different stages, you might find that it's like a marathon. We're gonna keep on changing and changing. There are times that you may feel lonely as well, because you are the only one who know what are the symptoms that you are experiencing. This is all natural. This is all normal to have that kind of symptoms. Research also show that later in the course of the disease, like Chris mentioned, you may have you may experience some dementia, hallucination, or psychosis, but this is more later stage, more severe stage. Okay. So now I will move on to Chris to talk about the cognition part of Parkinson's disease.
So as Wayne has mentioned, along with the emotional, psychological aspects of PD, that goes also along with the motor symptoms, you can also, not all, some patients may have difficulties in cognition. So here we're talking about things like memory. So some patients may have difficulties in learning and recalling new information or recalling old information, but mainly it's with learning new information. So forgetting, for example, appointment dates, you might have that. Forgetting conversations that you had with your spouse a couple of days ago. Attention is another domain that can be affected, where patients find it difficult to focus and attend to information, or what you call sustained attention. For example, let's say before you got Parkinson's disease, you're able to read a newspaper from first page to the last page, and now you might find that you're difficult to stay focused on this paper. You might just read about a few pages and then stop because you just can't focus anymore, and you're going to do something else and come back again later. So you end up reading the newspaper, at different stages, at different times of the day, so that at the end of the day, you finish the whole newspaper. Executive functioning is the third dimension, where you have difficulties in thinking and reasoning skills, and planning and executing tasks. So this can be affected. Now, speech and language is probably one of the most noticeable effects that you have. First would be the motor aspects, meaning you have difficulties pronouncing words, your speech volume may go down. Along with that, handwriting can also get affected. You find that your handwriting becomes more smaller, the words become smaller, and you're not able to write in a straight line. But along this, we also may have difficulties in coming up with words. For example, you have difficulty expressing yourself, okay, and processing speed. Okay, how fast you do things, how fast you respond and react to things may also be slowed. Okay, of course there'll be a physical slowness because of the motor difficulties of PD, but also you find your thinking may be slowed. It takes you time to process what someone says and understand what they say. Okay. So let's look at the common stages. Now, this is something that Wayne has already mentioned earlier about how you feel when you get your diagnosis and what you go through. So let me look at these stages. These are common reactions. And what Wayne said earlier, please remember this. This is a normal reaction. Okay, not all people will have to go through these stages, and these stages don't go along with your, the Parkinson's disease, what I talked about, 5 stages. Okay, so when you first get your diagnosis, some people might go into denial. Okay, they deny that they got Parkinson's disease, and sometimes it's a little bit easy to do because the features are not profound. They're not really noticeable unless you really pay attention to it. Okay, so they try to deny it. And then afterwards, when they find that the motor symptoms are becoming a bit more noticeable, they start getting depressed. They ask questions, why me? What did I do? Is this a punishment? Okay, and they start thinking also about the future. What does it mean to them in terms of work or daily living? After going through the stage of depression, they start getting resigned to it, and there's preliminary acceptance. So what now? What do I do now? How do I manage this? And this is where people start looking at information. So sort of self-educate themselves. They got information from the doctors. Sometimes they go through the net or they talk to other people and find out what are the different features that they can see in a way to try to prepare themselves. Okay, and they go through stage 4, which is acceptance. They accept that this is going on. They accept that the disease features will get worse over time, but they still start making plans about the future. They're trying to adjust to the changes, especially in the physical dimension. Okay, so the kind of things that they can do, activities that they do, they start making changes. Cut down here, cut down there, less, for example, exercise or something. They try to go along with it. Okay. Stage 5 is when they fully accepted it and they start thinking about living with it, focusing on quality of life. Okay, and this is where we can step in. Okay, and this is where you yourself, as a patient, you can step in. What can I do? Just because I have Parkinson's disease, it doesn't mean it's a handicap. Okay, so it's just a disability. It's not a handicap. Okay, so to start focusing on quality of life, expanding the horizons to get into things that are more activities that they are able to do and they can get some pleasure from it. Okay. And now I will hand over again to Wei In, and she'll talk about the coping strategies all the way down to the end.
Thank you, Chris. So how could we help ourselves to focus on the quality of life, which actually very easy. You all can do it daily as well. Because firstly, actually, we know that emotional stress can make it hard for our body to cope with the symptoms as well, right? Because living with Parkinson with all these symptoms that may change across the stage can cause additional worry and frustrations. But learning how to manage the stress as well as being able to relax, it will help to optimize your mental wellness and maintain a good quality of life. So keeping your interest and hobby going, as well as developing a new one, is very important. So activities which takes you out of the house, like social activities or outdoor activities that can involve people, can be very particularly beneficial in providing the mental wellness to you. Sometimes you may need to adapt to the limitations or the symptoms that you experience. For example, we may need to take a shorter walk than usual, or we may need to sit down while playing chess with others. So these are all some adjustment that may take, but it will help you to bring those well-being to you. Another way is many people will turn to developing new interests, to expand your horizons in activities, because by taking a new hobby with a great success, like creative activities lah, painting lah, scouting lah, learning how to play new instruments, learning how to sing a song, or even writing some of the notes, calligraphy. These are all the new gains, new hobbies that will bring to you. Of course, sometimes we find, I have all these symptoms. Don't worry, because with our technology, there are many adaptive tools that are available to be in the market lah. So sometimes when holding a paintbrush, they have those lock that you can lock your finger with the paintbrush. These all available in the market. You can get these adaptation for yourself. So does not stop you from learning, take up new interests. So second strategy will be focusing on your having a balanced diet and good exercise, because this will enhance your vitality. Regular exercise that is appropriate to your abilities are very important, because it helps to slow down the symptoms, like those muscle and joints become stiffer and weaker, right? But with this regular exercise, actually it will just build a very good cushion. It delay the symptoms, making everyday's activities like turning in bed, getting up the chair, or dressing easier for you. And this will also bring psychological benefit, because every day you will think about, oh, today I managed to do this certain exercise. The next day I will also be able to do the exercise. So this actually give you a sense of control, achievement every day. So last, the third strategy will be discover your abilities. We try to discover your strength, the focus on the positive. There are things that actually you can still do it, even though you cannot do as well. So we will try to distribute the activity to those that are still achievable. So for example, cooking is a very big activities that involve a lot of smaller units, like ranging from washing the vegetables, plucking the vegetables, cutting the vegetables, to frying the vegetables. So pick the smaller units that you can still do and engage it. Then the rest, right, ask your caregiver to help you. And you are still doing cooking. Just focus on the parts that you can do. Communication is also important. There are many patients that living with Parkinson may say, oh, because I have slurred speech, I don't want to talk to others. No, with the technology right nowadays, you can still communicate with typing messages on mobile phone. You can even communicate with those microphone that can make your voice louder and clearer. It helps with the communication. And one thing is support group. Please feel free to sign up our support group, because it will provide opportunity for you to have social stimulation and social engagement with other people living with the same experience, maybe same concern. So you all can share tips with each other. Just like today, you all sign up for a public forum. You all learn new things and also share tips with each other. So the last strategy will be to remind ourselves being kind and doing something nice for yourself every day. So one thing is, I would say that every time you manage to complete one exercise or one daily activities on your own, give yourself a pat. Say thank you to yourself and thank you to your care partners, because this will help with the mental wellness for you and your care partners. But again, we understand your heart that you want to lessen your care partner burden. But being safe, maintaining a safety is also a way to alleviate the care partner burden. So while you want to do something, remember that you need to do the adjustment so that you are safe, with no risk of falling. And this is one of the way to alleviate the burden to others as well. So remember, live your life and don't let your symptoms affect you that much. Thank you.